Join me today as we talk about Daredevil Born Again episodes 5 and 6, where important questions like is Matt ever going to actually become Daredevil in this series? Or is the Kingpin ever just going to wail on somebody? And who is this Muse fellow? Will all be answered. So stay with me for the answers. This is the Geek Cabal channel. My name is Bobbie, and today we're going to be talking about the 5th and 6th episodes of Daredevil Born Again on Disney+. I just got done watching the episodes a couple hours ago. I'm recording this a couple days after they've come out. 5 and 6 came out on the same day. And yeah, the two episodes definitely have a different focus. Before I continue, let me be crystal clear, there are going to be spoilers in this discussion. I'll try to save the bigger kind of, oh man, that happened, till a later section where we'll specifically be saying this major spoilers area. But yeah, you should expect spoilers here in the regular session. If you want my opinion of the show, it's been pretty good so far. I liked episode 5 and 6. Things are moving, finally. So, before I get into spoilers, that's about all I can say. So yeah, what has happened in these two episodes? So like I said, episode 5 and 6, different tone, different theme, different events. In the 5th episode, Matt finds himself in a bank trying to take out a loan for the lawyer business because the business side of the business isn't doing too hot. And we find out that he has really terrible luck because some people show up to rob the bank after he gets turned down for the loan. So most of the episode is Matt trying to figure out what these guys are after and trying to figure out how to deal with them and save everyone in the bank because it looks like the police are going to breach towards the end. And also that the vault doesn't have any money in it. It's only safety deposit boxes. So clearly they're after something on one safety deposit boxes. And you come to find out it's a large gemstone. I believe they said it's a diamond. It's yellow. But yeah, so Matt has to deal with that, take out most of the bank robbers, although one is able to escape by disguising himself as a police officer. Of course, Matt's like, oh, I need to go outside. I can't see anything, officer. And so they let him out of the bank, and then he follows him and puts on his pseudo street Daredevil gear and proceeds to beat the crap out of him with a particularly vicious kick to the knee that shatters his knee and or breaks his lower leg. It's kind of hard to determine there. So I will say, just one quick comment, that Disney Plus is definitely not pulling any punches. There's a couple F-bombs get dropped in these two episodes. And the violence is definitely ratcheting up. So, ultimately, like I said, he foils the robbery, finds out what they're after. It's a diamond. He gets a hold of it, ends up giving it to the assistant bank manager, like circuitously at the end. And you know, this all this after the bank turned him down for the loan too. So then we have episode 6. And this is where we find a little bit about Muse. So the murals that we've been seeing on the walls, the graffiti, things like that, they've all been painted by Muse. And there's a guy for the sanitation department, tries to clean them off, has to use like some more extreme reaction stuff. Ultimately took a sample to have the people at the lab look at it, and they found out that they're made of human blood. Combined with like some epoxy stuff to keep them from going anywhere. But based on the samples they've taken, they estimate that that guy has probably killed around 60 some odd people, which makes him an incredibly prolific serial killer. And so Fisk wants to keep all this quiet, so he forms a task force, but he forms a task force of people that are, how does he put it, highly motivated. They get results. And a lot of other euphemisms say they're really terrible cops, overly aggressive, things like that. The gentleman who was mixed up with White Tiger towards the beginning of the season, he's one of them. So Fisk puts this group together, tells the chief keep everything quiet, and amidst all this, the White Tiger's niece shows up, wanting Matt, to help her figure out what's going on, and she thinks that her uncle was on to all the missing people, who, again, we now know Muse was taking and just draining them, killing them. So we do not find out who he is here. I don't know if the comics say who he is or not, but we definitely don't find out here. And Hilchman does get away, but Matt's able to save White Tiger's nephew because she gets captured and he's draining her blood. And it's a pretty good fight between the two of them, but Matt ultimately has to choose, deal with this guy or save the girl, because she's dying because the blood's been pumped out of her. So he chooses to save her and turns around and Muse is gone. The Kingpin, meanwhile, is being seriously disrespected by one of the other members of the five families, and he's trying to figure out what he's going to do to him. Then he has a fundraiser. Excuse me. He has a fundraiser, and, well, I don't think it's a fundraiser, but it's a social function. And he's having to hobnob with some of the wealthy people who don't seem to want him to do the deal he was talking about in the 4th episode, where he was going to, there in Red Hook, kind of level this area and build a new port there, because the current port's out of date. And, so we get to see bits and pieces of the conversations, but most of the people think that he's just doing it for self-serving reasons because he had businesses there. Or the guy who is the swordsman in, I believe he's in the Hawkeye series. He's in it as one of the well-to-do types. And basically, tells Fisk, hey, look, dude, these people, things happen because they want them to. And Fisk is like, well, none of these people have ever done a hard day's work in their life. I know what it's actually like. I know it to be a real mover and shaker. It'd be a shame if some of these people got caught up in that, Then, yeah, that's most of, then Fisk goes and beats up the guy that his wife cheated on him with. He comes in there and he's holding an axe outside the cell door, and he tells him, he's like, my dad exposed me to men who use their fists for a living, back when he was 12 or 13. He's like, I learned how to fight. He's like, I was pretty good at it. So he's telling the guy this, and he's like, I learned early on that, you can use tools to overcome difficulties, because he's fighting larger men. So he tosses him an axe, and he's like, bring it on. And the two of them fight, and Kingpin just demolishes him and beats the crap out of him, throws him around everywhere, and throws him back in the jail cell, because he's not done with him yet. So, yeah, this was the Kingpin and Daredevil finally giving in to their more violent impulses and coming out as who they truly are. So, it's about time. We'll see if this goes anywhere. Hopefully it does, because I think there's only 3 episodes left in the season, but I believe there's already said there's a 2nd season. So, yeah. Oh, also, the woman that Matt is seeing is the psychiatrist. She's writing a book about costume vigilantes. And so she's like, well, you know some costume types. Can I interview him? He's like who? She's like, well, what about Frank Castle? And he's like, you want to interview the Punisher? He's like, no, I don't think that's a great idea. She's like, what about Daredevil? And he's like, I don't know about that. So, yeah. Yeah. Now, for the surprise cameo, at least I was quite surprised, and it took me a minute to, like, yeah, that is who I think it is. So, major spoilers here. The gentleman at the bank that Matt is trying to get the loan from is Kamala Khan's father. And he even starts talking about Kamala Khan. And Matt's like, Miss Marvel, like, I must have missed her. So I don't know how Matt missed her, other than the fact that he's blind, so he could have literally missed her. But yeah, so it's Kamala Khan's dad. That's where it works, and he's the assistant manager, and the manager's gone, so he's the one they have to try to convince to open the vault and things like that. But yeah, no, he's a good guy. Glad to see him outside of the Kamala Khan show, which just further cements these into real MCU stuff, because I know Kamala Khan is also primarily from a show, but all of her major characters showed up in the Marvels, which, as much as people would like to think it is not, it is still canon. So anyway, I don't know if we'll see Kamala before the end. That wouldn't be too bad. I liked her as a character. But yeah, that's about all I've got. I think it's just one episode next week. Hopefully I get the video up before I actually end up watching episode 8 and then just do a video on both of them. We'll see, though. But yeah, that's all I've got. So let me know down in the comments what you folks think. Have you seen the episode? Do you plan on watching the episode? Well, I guess episodes in this case. Yeah, anything like that. What do you think of the show so far? You're not watching it? Whatever. Yeah, other than that, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you like the content that you watched here and you want to see more, liking, or not liking, sharing and commenting on things that help us grow the channel is appreciated. But and subscribing, of course. It's the name of the game here on YouTube. But yeah, that's all I've got. So in the words of Stan Lee, I think, actually I probably didn't say this because it's kind of on the nose, but here we go. Make mine Marvel.